Yeah, well, I'm 31 now, so I guess my 20s are over, but I can recall what my 20s were. I think looking back, it was a lot of sort of trying to find my place in the world, I guess, or where I belong. I guess my biggest, I wouldn't call it a mistake, but I think in my 20s, I tried to achieve a lot of stuff. You know, your 20s is a time where you graduate uni and you really start feeling adulthood in a way, because all of a sudden you have to get a job and pay rent and manage your finances and so on, whilst you're still pretty young, so you still want to have fun and go out and like meet people and develop relationships and travel the world and so on, and that's great. But I think now in retrospective, when I think about it, I spent a lot of my 20s just like sort of skimming the surface of a lot of stuff. Like I wanted to develop my career. I also wanted to travel. I wanted to meet 1,000 friends, and I wanted to like date people, and I didn't really focus on either of those. I just kind of sort of peppered through a lot of them. We spend a lot of our time finding the perfect something, right? Like the perfect trip, the perfect job, the perfect partner. And you have so much left in your life to find that perfect thing that it's okay to sort of roam around, particularly when it comes to a job, you know. I work in education. I work with a lot of people transitioning into new jobs, and some of the conversations that we hold a lot of the times is just start somewhere, you know, like getting your second job is substantially easier than getting your first job. So like there's no such thing as a bad job, you know, even if you end up not necessarily following the company's mission or not really getting along with your manager or your teammates, you still learn something, you know. It's still professional development. It's still something on your CV, you know. So we have another 35 years of professional life, 40 years of professional life to find your ideal and perfect job. Like, don't worry about that, you know. Like you'll find the perfect job as you go through your career, and what you think is a perfect job, it might not be, you know. A lot of the times it's like the most sort of, or like the least sexy companies like accounting or something like that actually have really great culture, and that you find a really great team to work with, and that makes up for the lack of sexy titles or a sexy company. You know, a lot of people think that working a cool startup that's doing really brand new things is great, and it could be, don't get me wrong.
Which is what you're doing.
It could be, but it also comes with a lot of pain, you know, like working in a company that's still not yet established requires a lot of resilience and a lot of self-direction, because there's no one else to direct you, or it means getting your hands dirty a lot, you know. And not everyone is comfortable with that ambiguity. Some people, again, we think that working in a startup and rocking to work in a jeans and a t-shirt is cool, but that's not necessarily what culture is about. That's not what work culture is about. It's about having a place where you can be heard and recognized and challenged and mentored, and that you're growing, you know, that you feel like it's taking you somewhere else in your professional life. And that could happen anywhere, you know. Like the reality is that when you start a new job, like when you start any new relationship, I feel like jobs are very much a relationship with a company rather than with an individual. You don't know what you're signing up for. You'll find as you go, you know. Like there's only so much that you can learn about a company or a particular person in a couple of interviews, and a lot of it takes, again, like a relationship, it's a two-way street, you know. It takes a lot of effort from yourself to make it work as well, if you want it to make it work. I think people don't realize that there's never a straight line to anything, you know. I always think about like sailing, and I don't sail, to be honest. It's not like it, but I think it's a good analogy that when you sail somewhere, you never sail in a straight line. You go like this. You know that you're getting from point A to B, but you know that because of the current and because whatever gets in your way, you sail in a zigzag line kind of to get there. But it's still progress, you're still moving forward, you know. So the fact that you're not getting from point A to B in a straight line doesn't mean that you're not making any progress. It doesn't mean that you're not gonna get there. You'll get there eventually. and if you acknowledge that from the get-go, you might be able to enjoy the ride a bit more, rather than focusing on like, I'm not getting there fast enough, I'm not getting there as I originally planned it. You know, it's really embracing ambiguity. I think that's actually probably one of my biggest learnings, is just that you never know where things might take you. It's very unlikely that one thing in your life will give you everything. And that's actually, I think that's a lot of the problems. A lot of times, I guess, particularly around work, we hope or we expect that work will give us career development and sense of fulfillment and a friendship and a network and a good paycheck and everything, you know. And the reality is that, again, there is no such thing as a perfect job. So once you understand that it's not your employers or your managers or whoever's responsibility to give you everything in life, then you can accept it and find other sources of inspiration or self-fulfillment or socialize or so on. And then you just take things for what they are. That doesn't mean that you have to quit your job. It just means that you acknowledge your job for what it is, and what's missing, you find it somewhere else. You go volunteer for a cause that you really care about, or you start a side business that really gives you fulfillment and might earn some extra cash, you know? And again, it's sort of finding that balance. I think I was mostly single from my 20s, early 20s, I think. And it was for multiple reasons. I wasn't out of the closet when I was in my early 20s, and that was, I guess, probably holding me back. And then I came out to my friends and family when I was about 23, probably.
What was that like?
Confronting, obviously. I think it's hard for the majority of people, but it's also a great sense of relief, you know. I mean, it was like almost 10 years ago, so now it's a completely different thing. I see it with such a different perspective. I think at that time it allowed me to just sort of focus on friendships and travel, because I didn't have anything or anyone holding me back. And if anything, after traveling a little bit and trying out different countries and different things, I found this job that I'm at. I found a relationship that we've been together for 4.5 years now. We're engaged. Bought a house together. It's like the whole thing.
The full package.
Yeah, almost. Yeah, but it's not because I want this, and like by the time I'm 30, I want to tick all these boxes. It's actually it just happened naturally, I guess. But again, yeah, relationships are hard, man. They take a lot of effort, and I think I'm actually somewhat of a selfish person. I acknowledge it. You know, because I've always been by myself, and I've been used to just sort of looking after myself, and that was it. I think I struggled probably at the beginning with just letting go of, like, you're not alone anymore, you're part of a team. And that's what it is, you know, like relationships, that's what it is, you're a team. And then you just have to work together, make decisions together. I've learned that. I think it's exactly like what you mentioned just earlier, empathy, you know, it's about thinking about the other person before yourself, and thinking, it's not just thinking, would I want to do this, is this something that we can both do, or would we both enjoy this? Or is this something that would benefit both, not just me? I think it's just sort of like switching that mindset from like just me to us as a team. We do everything together because we do the same things, you know, it's like, because we both enjoy kind of, or like, I guess we've learned from each other's hobbies more than anything. I think we've been really good at introducing each other to things that we think we'd like. And that's actually, now upon reflection, that's actually been crucial. So it's not just like, oh, bye, I'm going out for a run. It's actually like, hey, I like running, why don't you try it, and I'll coach you through it. Or I really like cooking, so I'm gonna like, we're gonna go to the markets, we're gonna cook, and like, is this something that you're interested in? And yeah, obviously like putting a bit of your part on it and saying, yeah, okay, I'll give this a go. But I think we've been really good at it, like introducing each other to well, introducing to each other's interests and like trying to get the other person involved in it, and whether we've enjoyed it together or we said, actually, nah, this is not for me, you do it and it's your time, you know, like I'm a terrible swimmer, but my partner is a really good swimmer and he enjoys going to the pool. So I was like, well, while you go to the pool, I'll go for a run and we'll meet after and grab a coffee afterwards or so on. So we sort of give ourselves time to do our own things.
And that's fine. Like,
yeah, exactly. We're not joined by the hip, you know, but it makes us really want to spend some time together on the weekend because we don't see a lot of each other.
Yeah.
So that's good. It's always good to like sort of miss the other person, I guess. That's actually a great question. Yeah, I've never been good with my finance. I must admit, I've always saved money, but I've always saved it for like one immediate thing, you know, like I'm gonna save this money and then buy that pair of shoes, or like I'm gonna save this money, like, oh, how much do I need to go to Thailand for a week? $2,000? Okay, let's save $2,000 and then let's go spend it. You know, like I've never had like long-term saving goals. Someone said to me once, a friend of mine said, you should be able to save 25% of your income. If you're not able to do that, you're just living a lifestyle that you can't afford. And I was like, oh, okay, good. And that just sort of like stuck with me. And I was like, I'm gonna put a direct debit of 25% of my income to go towards saving, and see if I can make it with that. And that's actually how I live. I don't budget thoroughly on like X amount for like rent, X amount for gas, power, phone, and this is for my morning coffee. Like I'm not that granular when it comes to my finances, and I guess that's probably a luxury, I must say. But rather, I put everything on a direct debit. Like everything gets taken from my one account. There is a direct debit for savings, for rent, and then like house bills. And then I know that everything left in my account is for going out or buying clothes or buying food or so on. And I'm also really good that I know that if I have, I don't know, if I have $300 left and I'm getting paid on Monday, then that's my weekend. And I can only, whatever I do, I can only spend $300 because I'll get paid on Monday. And if I have $50 and it's like, well, I'm staying home this weekend. And if I have $800 left in that after that fortnight, I was like, well, actually, let's go buy some clothes or have a nice dinner, or I'll buy a trip to somewhere or whatever. And that's actually all I do. I just, all the sort of things that you can't miss paying go straight out of my account, including savings. And then whatever's left, I just use it for the fun bits, I guess. Loli, come here. Lola, get up. Get up.
Lola has really good sleep.
Say hi.